The air in the throne room was thick with the scent of ozone and alien blooms. It was a vast chamber of living crystal that pulsed with a soft violet light, and at its center, upon a dais shaped like an unfolding flower, sat the monarch. She was the absolute ruler of the Velen hegemony, a being of breathtaking and formidable presence. Her skin held the iridescent sheen of mother of pearl, and two delicate antenna-like filaments swept back from her brow. Her eyes, large and luminous, were pools of molten silver. Currently, those eyes were fixed on the lone figure standing before her. He was human, the sole survivor of the scout vessel Wayfarer, which had trespassed into Velen space and been swiftly, painlessly disabled. He wore a simple gray shipsuit, his posture rigid, not with military precision, but with the weary tension of a man facing the unknown. He had been brought before her not as a prisoner of war, for there was no war, but as a curious anomaly. For cycles, the Velen hegemony had expanded, assimilating species into their symbiotic collective. Each brought a unique biological or psychic resonance, strengthening the whole. Yet for all their power, the Velen lived in a state of profound emotional stillness, a harmony that bordered on sterility. Their connections were telepathic, efficient, and devoid of the chaotic, turbulent warmth their scouts had detected in the human psychic signature. The Queen had ordered his retrieval. She had studied the reports. Humanity was volatile, illogical, driven by inexplicable passions. They were, by Velen standards, flawed. And yet, their emotional spectrum was vast, a wild, untapped energy. You are far from your home. Little human, the monarch's voice was not a sound, but a direct resonance in the mind. Smooth as polished stone. I am, the human replied aloud, his voice rough in the quiet room. We meant no trespass. It was a navigational error. Error or intent is irrelevant. You are here. Your species interests me. Your minds are loud. They burn. She shifted, the crystalline folds of her gown chiming softly. We have absorbed 17 species into our hegemony. Each found peace, order, purpose within our harmony. Your people lack this. You are adrift in your own emotional storms. We can offer you calm. The human's jaw tightened. We've encountered offers of calm before. It usually means suppression. We'll decline. A ripple, the faintest echo of surprise, went through the attending courtiers. None dared refuse the monarch. She leaned forward, her silver eyes intensifying. You speak of choice. A quaint concept. There is a greater logic here, a galactic symbiosis. Your emotional energy is raw, wasteful, dangerous. But filtered through our lattice, it could become something magnificent. A new form of beauty. A new kind of strength. It's not yours to filter, the human said, a spark of that very volatility flashing in his own eyes. The Queen rose. She was tall, willowy, and seemed to glide down the steps of the dais. The courtiers bowed their heads lower. She approached until she stood before the human, looking down at him. The scent of ozone grew stronger, mixed now with something like petrichor and amber. I have seen your memories, she intoned mentally. The dizzying heights of your joy, the crippling depths of your sorrow, the irrational, self-sacrificing fire of your love, the enduring stubbornness of your hope. It is a cacophony, but within it, I sense a melody I have never heard. Her physical voice, a rare and intimate thing, was a whisper of wind through reeds. You are a symphony of chaos. She reached out, a long, graceful hand with 4 slender fingers. She did not touch his skin, but his temples. The contact was not physical, but psychic. The human gasped. It was not an intrusion, not as he feared. It was an opening. He felt not her mind sifting through his, but her presence, vast and cool and profoundly lonely. He sensed the hegemony, a perfect, interconnected network, a serene and silent ocean. And at its center, the monarch was its deepest, most isolated trench. She presided over perfect harmony and had never known a single note of discordant, genuine warmth. She knew everything and felt nothing. And in that connection, she felt him. Not just his surface thoughts, but the undercurrent. The memory of his mother's laughter, bitter and sweet like coffee. The crushing grief of a lost friend, a pain that had carved canyons inside him. The fierce, stupid pride in a ship he helped build. The simple, defiant hope of seeing the sunrise again. It was messy, painful, illogical, and overwhelmingly, vibrantly alive. The queen shuddered. Her filaments glowed brightly. The perfect order of her mind was struck by a lightning bolt of pure, undiluted feeling. It was not any one emotion, but the terrifying, beautiful fact of their existence. It was a hurricane in her silent sea. She broke the contact, stepping back as if scalded. Her silver eyes were wide. The courtiers stirred, uneasy. They had never seen her composure fracture. The human swayed on his feet, breathing heavily. "You see? It's not so easy to manage." The queen stared at him. The logic was clear. This species, this human, was a threat to their perfect order. His very psychic nature was a contagion of disorder. The prudent, the only logical course, was to isolate him, to study him from behind psychic shielding, or to terminate the experiment entirely. But logic had just evaporated. For the first time in her long reign, the monarch did not know what to do. And the not knowing was a terrifying, thrilling novelty. She moved again, not with regal grace, but with a sudden, decisive urgency. She closed the distance between them. Before the human could react, before the courtiers could process the movement, she embraced him. It was not an attack. It was an envelopment. Her arms, surprisingly strong, wrapped around him. The living crystal of her gown was cool against his cheek. The scent of amber and ozone was overwhelming. She held him not as a ruler capturing a subject, but as a castaway clinging to a raft. The human stiffened. Then, instinctively, his own arms came up. He did not push her away. He held on. In the stark, emotionless void of her existence, his humanity was not a weakness. It was a fire in the frozen dark, and she was freezing. She lowered her head, her lips near his ear. Her mental voice was gone. This was raw, whispered sound, vibration against his skin, filled with a wonder that shook her entire being. "I am yours now, human." The words were not a claim of possession, but a surrender, a confession. He did not belong to her hegemony. She, in her fathomless, ordered loneliness, belonged to the chaos he represented. The storm had claimed the lighthouse. The court stood in paralyzed silence. The concept was beyond them. Their queen, the pillar of their universe, had just declared allegiance to an alien chaos. She finally released him, but only enough to look into his face. Her silver eyes were different now. They held reflections, shadows, light things they had never held before. "Your ship will be repaired," she said, her voice still that soft, awed whisper. "Your crew, what remains, will be revived. You may leave." The human blinked. "Why?" "Because you must choose," she said. "The value of your storm is in its freedom. To cage it is to kill it. I have seen it. I have felt it. That is enough. It will have to be enough." She turned to her stunned court, and her regal authority returned, but it was changed, tempered by something new. "This audience is concluded. Prepare the human vessel for its journey." As the courtiers scurried to obey, the human remained. "What happens to you?" The queen offered something that was not quite a smile, a mere softening of her expression, but to the human, it was a universe being born. "I will remember the storm, and the silence will no longer be silent." Now go, before my logic returns and I change my mind." He was escorted out, not by guards, but by silent attendants. He looked back once at the figure on the living crystal dais. She sat perfectly straight, a queen again, alone in her vibrant, pulsating throne room. But her hand was resting where his shoulder had been, and the light in the chamber seemed to shimmer with a new, uncertain rhythm. Weeks later, the repaired wayfarer jumped towards human space. The human sat at his console, the starfield streaking past. He carried no physical trophy, no alien technology. He carried only the memory of an embrace and a whispered surrender that had appended an empire without firing a single shot. And in her throne room, the extraterrestrial queen held the silence close. It was no longer empty. It was filled with the echo of a feeling, a warmth that did not fade. She had sought to assimilate a new form of strength. Instead, she had been claimed by a new form of truth. The galaxy was vast and cold, but she was no longer alone in it. She had, for a moment, held the sun, and its light, its chaotic, human light, was now forever hers.